Hey everybody, it's Ryan and Joe, and today we're going to talk about the qualities. So you're probably familiar with the four elements, and you've probably been told that they were considered the basic building blocks of nature. Like sort of everything in the world was made up of some combination of these elements.
They're also one of the building blocks or components of the zodiac signs. So you've probably heard of the fire signs, air signs, earth signs, water signs, etc.
But did you know that there's actually another level?
Each element can be broken down even further into the qualities.
There are four qualities: heat, coldness, moisture, and dryness. And these qualities come together in pairs to produce the elements. So like the quality heat and the quality dryness come together to make fire. The qualities coldness and moisture come together to make water. Coldness and dryness come together to make earth. And heat and moisture come together to make air.
So this might sound a little weird at first, but let's talk about each quality individually, then how they come together in the pairs, and it'll start to make a lot more sense.
So the first quality we're going to talk about is heat. And heat's main keywords are active and expansive. So heat is like energizing. You know, when you heat things up, you excite them more or less.
Heat is also more outward or movement oriented or extroverted. Think about what happens when you apply heat to things. Molecules literally move faster. That kind of thing is the underlying quality of the quality heat.
One of the good things about the qualities is that when you really compare them to their opposite, you kind of see the dichotomy more clearly. So heat's opposite is obviously coldness, and where heat is active and expansive, coldness is passive and condensing. It's more inward, more contemplative, more introverted, whereas heat is literally the opposite of all of that.
So coldness lends itself to slowness or maybe even stillness, being reflective, contemplative. So generally when things cool down or get colder, they get slower or more still. Think about applying coldness to water, it freezes into ice, as opposed to the principle or the quality of heat. If you apply heat to water, it gets faster and faster and boils.
So the third quality, moisture, really focuses on connection, like bringing things together, or about flexibility, being more adaptable. So the image that I mostly use for moisture is the idea of like wet sand. You know it all, like you can kind of clump it together in your hand as one big mass. And that's kind of the idea. Like moisture brings together all the little grains of sand and makes them into kind of one big blob of sand.
Right, because if the sand was dry, obviously you can pick it up and it falls right through your fingers. Moisture connects all of that, and that's what the quality of moisture does.
So there's a big kind of a community sense with moisture, and this gets extrapolated further into creativity, connecting ideas together that maybe don't naturally flow together, or ideas of compassion. This is a big moist thing, compassion relating to other people, being able to understand other people.
Empathy.
Yeah.
Sensitivity.
Being able to put yourself into other people's shoes without having to experience that. That's a kind of a moist thing. And the final quality is dryness. And dryness is everything moisture is not. So where moisture was connective and flexible, dryness is separative and resistant.
So where moisture wants to bring things together, dryness wants to separate things. You see dryness being a quality that supports categorizing things, separating them into distinct parts, being distinctive.
But it's really interesting because where moisture tries to see where two things have things in common, dryness tries to see the things that they have different, that are different about them.
Dryness supports organization and orderliness, things like that. It wants to have everything in its place versus bring everything together like moisture.
Another one of dryness's main principles is the idea of isolation, which goes in with the separateness, versus the togetherness of moisture. So it's dryness wants to be on its own, and moisture just wants to hug everybody.
So these might seem a little abstract on their own, but when they start coming together in pairs to make the elements, you really start to see how much the system makes sense. So heat and moisture come together to make the element air. Now you might not really think of air as kind of moist when you first think about it, but when you get the active, expansive, seeking quality of heat together with the connective quality of moisture, you get the social quality of air signs that is pretty much what they're the most well known for.
So kind of following along on that, you have heat and dryness come together to make fire. And this one I think is a little bit easier to kind of wrap your head around, but you still have that kind of active and expansive heat that comes together now with the separative and resistant dryness. And this is where you get the idea of fire signs being more driven or competitive, or even kind of aggressive. These are all heat and dry words.
So coldness and dryness come together to make the earth element. You get the cold qualities of sort of being more passive, maybe more introverted and reflective, along with the dry qualities of being separative, a little more rigid or resistant, to get common earth sign characteristics such as being more stubborn, more pragmatic, more organized, etc.
So finally, the qualities coldness and moisture come together to produce the water element. This combination gives us cold's more passive, slower, contemplative qualities and combines them with moisture's more flexible or feeling or understanding nature. And this is where you get the idea of water signs being more emotional or empathetic or sensitive is a big word, more able to understand and feel their environment and process that internally.
There's a lot more we could say about each element individually, and don't worry, we have another video on that. But that is a little intro to the qualities, the kind of secret building block of the building block, which is the elements that you know and love. So if you have any questions, please let us know in the comments, and we will be sure to get back to you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.